And now let us welcome Mr. Ajit Patil, founder and CEO, Rivot Motors, out of box cloud and fast network, to share his learning with us today. Please welcome, sir.
Check. Good afternoon, all. Actually, I was expecting another speaker before me. So, anyways, let's go to the next slide, or the first slide. So, while they're trying to fix that, how many of here are actually running a startup at the moment? And the remaining, I'm assuming either you are planning to have a startup. Is it safe to say that? Okay, so a very short journey from my side. I spent about a decade in the industry. I'm an electronics guy. Moved to software, I moved to computer hardware, and then moved to software. Worked for a decade and resigned in 2012. The last company I worked for, it was EMC Square. They used to make SAN storage boxes. It got acquired by Dell EMC recently. I was making good money. In fact, I was tired of making money. And so I decided to move back to my hometown. I never studied here. I never lived here. My dad was in the military, so we got posted across the country, and entire my education, including my work and everything, happened outside Karnataka. So I always believe that, I don't have the cultural touch. So my Kannada is also not that great. I still can't read and write in Kannada. So I wanted to always come back and give back to my city, and that's why I actually resigned and I came back. When Prakash asked me to, would you like to be a speaker on this stage? And I said yes. In fact, I say yes for anything which has Belgavi attached to it. So if someone says, yesterday a few people asked me if you'd like to come down to a college and speak. I say, if your college is in Belgaum, I will definitely. No offense to people who are not from Belgaum, but I'm saying the first preference goes to Belgavi. So before I go with the boring slides, I only have 10 slides, by the way. So I've learned it from the investors and the community, the investor community, to not have more than 10 slides. So I have only 10 slides, although I'm not pitching here, but I think I want to keep it crisp. So can I have some names of successful startups? I don't have any gifts, by the way. No chocolates here, no chocolates here. But still, can I have some successful names from the people here of any of the startups you know? And you can have many names, that's okay. I just want to have how much of you actually know about startup fraternity, what's going around. Please raise your hands. Nykaa, Zomato, Zerodha, Zoho. How about Oyo? Sab bhul gaye? Ola. Sorry? MBA Chai Wala. Yeah. Ather. Rivot Motors, someone said. Okay. So there are many more startups we all are aware of, in the country, making rounds on the news. And how many unicorn startups do you know of? I hope everyone knows unicorn, but if they don't, let me briefly tell you. A unicorn startup is a startup which is valued at 1 billion and above. So that brings me to another question. What is valuation? How is a startup valued? So it's basically, at the moment, what is happening is with startups, if after a series funding, based on how much somebody has paid to acquire a portion of the company is valued. But if I go back to my books and how I value an item, for me, a business is, the value of the business is equal to the assets it has and the bank balance. That's the valuation for me. But that's not what is happening these days. The valuation is going by the amount of money one is raising in their series rounds. So go to the next slide, please. So how many of you know, I mean, some people said Zoho and some people said Zerodha. And I put these top 5 unicorns of the country right now. Do you know any similarities in these 5 companies in the country right now? Yeah, not exactly true, but anything which is exactly. So all of these 5, there are unicorns, but they're profitable unicorns. They're making anywhere between 200 to 2,000 crores profit. And what is happening is, and in the morning when we started, there were discussion around raising funds has become the race for the startup world. When I started few of the firms in the city here, the first 2 firms, which is Fast Broadband and the Out-of-Box Cloud, they were both incidental and they were both need-driven. When I moved back in 2012, what happened was in the city, the fastest internet speed we could buy was 4 Mbps. And coming from a software background, 4 Mbps was not sufficient for me. So I wrote to CMD BSNL and I also wrote to PMO. Nothing worked out. So eventually I started reading the Telegraph Act to figure out if internet service is something which only Bhartis and the Tatas and Mittals can do, and realized that anybody can start an internet company. They can go to DOT and apply for a license and do it. And that's how the fast broadband companies started here in Belgium, which started giving 100 Mbps fiber speed. So obviously I never got an investment for that because I never knew that there is a way to get money to build a company. And Fast is now profitable. I mean, in fact, it was profitable right from the second year onwards. The first 2 years, I bootstrapped all the money, and it was an incidental business, but ironically, it made a lot of money for me. And I won't shy away from saying I built some assets, and using that money, I built the next company, and that was also incidental. The out-of-box cloud is something, when I was doing the software work, I was using Amazon AWS and other cloud service providers. And I was paying a lot of money to do that. So what I did is I built my own private cloud and started hosting my application on my own cloud to save money. And sometimes down the lane, some of my friends and family members said, can I host a server at your data center? And I did that for a few years. And later on, I realized that I started getting inquiries from my friends and family's friends. And that's when I started selling that business, and that became another company. And thankfully, that also turned into profit. So both of these companies, next slide, please. Both of these companies, if you look at it, the fast networks and the out-of-box cloud, they both are bootstrapped. Bootstrapped means you put your own money or you put your friends and family's money. What it actually gave me when I put my own money, the growth was naturally slow because I didn't have humongous money. To build a data center, you need good money. But I never had the pressure of selling it before it was ready. So most of the times what we see in the current scenario, we are under a lot of pressure when we take money to sell it, while you internally know that your product is not yet ready. But because of the pressure, you tend to go to market a little faster. So next slide, please. So now I am not very against taking money. When you need to scale, you need the money. But I feel taking money should be the last option and not the first option. But what is happening these days is, as a startup, the moment you have an MVP, or even if you don't have one, if you have an idea, naturally we tend to think that the next immediate action should be to go out and ask for money. And that to ask money from either angel investor or a venture capitalist. But I suggest the best way to raise fund if you really need money, to go after your friends and family. If they really believe in your idea or your product, they will definitely fund you with whatever little money you had, which is actually what I did. When I came out, I did come out with some savings, but it ran out. I ran dry very fast. And at that time, what happened is, all my colleagues still working, all of them gave me about a lakh or two for the next 1 year. And collectively, I could raise about 25 lakhs from my friend circle who were still working, which I eventually paid back within the next few years. So I feel that raising funds should not be the immediate next step after you have a product or an idea. If you really need money, try and find it from your friends and family. But if at all, if you still need money, what would you prefer to go after? Angel investor or a venture capitalist? Out of all the people here, if you know the difference between the two, how many of you would want to go to angel investor? I see only one hand. Does that mean the rest of the startups wants to go to venture capitalist? Okay, how many of you want to actually go to venture capitalist for raising funds? No hands means that none of you guys actually want money, which is actually good. So much of discussion we had around investment and startups, and nobody's interested in taking money. If I have to tell you, I would prefer to go to angel investor, because they are the one who actually feels or believes your own idea. No offense to people who are involved in venture capitalist firms, but a VC wants to double their money. But an angel would want to help you with whatever they know about the industry. And I feel, that's the reason I feel angel investors are better than VCs. If possible, avoid them both, but sometimes you do need the industry connects and mentorship. So angel investor will have some time to spend with you, whereas VC may or may not have. Next slide, please. So I have some tips, and I've learned it from my experience, and I wanted to share with you. And next slide, please. So, like I said initially, I came from an electronics background, moved to a computer hardware, and then did software. And currently, I'm with a startup where we are building electric scooters, electric vehicles, and I had no experience in mechanical engineering. How many of you are here mechanical engineers? 2, 3, 4, 5. Good. Let me ask you one question. Do you know what is a diode? Okay. Do you know what is a capacitor? Okay. So the people who are in the startup building one, they will know it, because when I started Rivot Motors, I didn't know what is GD&T. I didn't even know what is casting. I only knew one type of casting. I didn't know a lot of mechanical terms and even the processes how to build one. And in the past 4 years that the company has been running, I have almost turned into a mechanical engineer, a 4 years degree of mechanical engineer. What is this picture telling you is, as a startup, I see some of the founders who have come and told me that I come from electronic background, or I come from computer science background. I don't know how electronic works, or I don't know how mechanical works. I'm telling you, the best thing to do is actually start learning it. So having no knowledge of mechanical, I went into actually learning everything about mechanical, the types of investment casting or GPDC or LPDC, every type of casting and the metal. When we're making the scooter frame, there's something called CLR, which I was not aware of, which is central line radius. which tells you how much you can bend a tube to keep it relaxed. And our initial design, when we went to a tube bending vendor, he straightaway rejected it. So a frame which we had worked on for almost 6-7 months, he said it cannot be built. So eventually when I went back to the books and I started studying, I realized that there are so many mistakes we had done in our mechanicals, in our scooter, we corrected them all. The idea of this slide is to just let you know that your degree or the background should not become an excuse or a barrier to learn a new domain. Today, if you ask me about mechanicals, I can fairly score as much as a mechanical engineer, although I have come from a different background. So this is a day spent in a foundry in Udyambag with my tiffin box there because it was quite far. And I saw the entire process live. The owner at the foundry said, you don't have to come here, we will do it for you. But then I wanted to understand how the entire process works. And I have many similar slides for all the type of metal works we got done, whether it was investment casting or tube bending. So the takeaway is, if you have to learn swimming, learn it. If you have to learn mechanical or electronics, do it. It's not difficult, and that's when you'll have the grip on the topic. So whenever a vendor comes to you, you will be in a better position to explain your requirement. Next slide, please. LinkedIn has helped me a lot. So I'm sure all of you will be on LinkedIn. If not, please get onto LinkedIn. I got many contacts. My 100% staffing is hired through LinkedIn. And I didn't pay for it, by the way. And at the moment, what is happening is, it is very difficult for me to go to a job portal and get the hires. The job portal is flooded with resumes, it's flooded with companies. It's difficult for the job seeker to find a job, right job for them. It's difficult for the employer to find the right hire for them. So this is a tip I have learned. I was not very active on LinkedIn when I had started all of these things, but of late I have realized the value of it. All of my staffs are hired from LinkedIn. Next slide, please. Attend exhibitions and expos. Again, this has helped me a lot. Wherever there is an exhibition happening across the country, and if I can afford in the other countries, I do go there and do visit. I get a lot of connect from the vendors, and also the new technologies which can reduce the task you are actually doing. So if you're thinking about this as expo, because prior to this, I never thought exhibitions as a value add for a business. But even as a student, if you go to exhibition, you'll learn how technologies are evolving. Something which was under research and development 10 years back has made it to the market, and the first place it will hit is the exhibition. So please attend the exhibition if you can. Next slide, please. Some of the tips for the budding entrepreneurs or who wants to be in startup business. There are two very good programs run by Government of India and Government of Karnataka. If you are not signed up on these, please sign up. They don't cost you anything. You just need to apply it online, and you must be having a website running. I think we are close to the end of the slides now. Next, please. Okay, so I could have stopped in between taking questions, but I thought I'll keep it for the last, so we'll complete. Most of the times you probably get your answers through the slides. Do we have any questions? There is one question. Yes, sir. So the question is for my latest startup, which is electric vehicle building, are we getting any funding? The answer is no. It is not funded, and I am trying to refrain from taking money as much as possible. I had some savings. I have also taken debt, But I'm trying to refrain because I was, just a few days back, I was listening to a company called Route Mobile. And the founder is holding 60% of his stake post IPO, and it is valued, it's a unicorn. It's valued at, I think, few billions. And he was saying the liberty I have holding 60% of my company's stake is immense. I can do anything I want. So I definitely want to not take money, and we want to grow slow as well. When we launch, we are planning to launch in another few months. We want to grow slow, so we'll be launching few vehicles a month and then growing from there. I think I want to be a proficon rather than a unicorn. Any more questions, please? Yes, sir.
So you started out in Belgaum. What are the things about starting up in Belgaum which people just don't know? Just on the positive side.
Thank you, sir. So the question is, I started up in Belgaum. When I moved back to Belgaum, I didn't know the word startup. I just moved back. I was tired with my job, and I felt like I'm working so hard and sending all the money to outside India. So we had a lot of challenges. Initially, like I said, the internet itself was a challenge. That is sorted out. The good thing about working out from a small town or not a tier 1 city is you get very fast recognition. In Bangalore, it's a sea of people, and even though how much you're working hard, you're working 12 hours, 18 hours a day, you're barely recognized. So the plus point in tier 2 cities, you are recognized very fast. I don't think I have done any wonder here, but I've been asked to speak here. That doesn't happen in Bangalore. I mean, you would have probably been making money or valued at God knows what value, but you'll probably never be called as a speaker. So that's one good point working out of tier 2 city. You definitely have those logistic benefits of not being stuck in traffic, not paying double the amount of money for food or anything else. Apart from all those things, you will also have a life. Not that you won't have life in Bangalore. In fact, I recommend everybody coming out of colleges to spend 5 years in Bangalore-like city, because the exposure is required, and the type of things happening there, at the pace things are happening there, you should learn all of these things and come back. And come back to wherever you've gone to Bangalore from. Because that is the only way you can actually grow the entire country, not just one city. You have to give back. So definitely the life is very nice back at your home place. When you walk on the street in Belgaum, we say it in Kannada, Aramri. Aramri means, are you okay? I mean, literal meaning is different, but Aramri means it's a way of greeting. But in Bangalore, nobody says that when you're walking on the street. So some of the plus points here, initially, it was difficult to retain talent and hire talent, because I feel the reason why the boys and girls wants to go to Bangalore after their graduation is not just because of money, because we have tried paying the same amount of money as well. I think it's the freedom they want. Back at home, right, what is happening is from the first standard till the 16th year, which is 10 plus 2 plus 4, you've been pampered. You've been asked, where are you, from your parents. And even if it is 6 o'clock, people go, Yelladi, Yavag Barati. They will ask you, and they don't want all that thing. And the Gen Z and the millennials, they don't want to be asked where you are all the time. But our parents won't understand that. So the reason they're flying out to Bangalore is to have a freedom. So if the request from my side to the parents is, let them take off. Even if they are in Belgaum, don't ask them where they, in fact, Belgaum is a lot safer than Bangalore comparatively. So what is happening here is, because they're so tied up, a golden cage is still a cage. So don't feed them if they're coming late. Let them figure out, let them make some Maggie and eat it. Let them go crash at their friend's place. Let them give them the feel of Bangalore life, because that's exactly what they're going for. They're not going for money. I've seen freshers joining companies for as little as 15,000 or 20,000 rupees in Bangalore. And for me, it's a challenge to get a fresher to join me for 25, 30,000 rupees. So difficult it is. So yeah, so that's what it is. It's a hard truth, but that's how it is. Let them go to Bangalore. I mean, 5 years they have to go to Bangalore, but whenever they are back home here, stop treating them as a teenager or as a kid. They've grown up. Yeah. And that's precisely why I don't want the slides. I never wanted to bring the slides, but I wanted to give a perspective with the pictures of what I want to, because slides are very boring, you know. So, any more questions, please? There is one.
All good things you said, but initially when you came back from high-paying salary, different lifestyle,
Yeah.
you might have faced
A lot of problem.
why did I come back? Or even
Yeah.
your family might have faced.
Yes.
You can share few of them and how did you come up?
So, I was earning about 3.5 to 4 lakhs a month. That's a good money in 2012. And I was 2 years into my marriage. 2 or 3 years. Yeah, 3 years into my marriage. I had a 6-month-old baby. And when I decided to quit, it was not taken easily by anybody except just the mother. माँ को तो फर्क ही नहीं पड़ता है ना. So it was tough ride. It went all the way to divorce, attended hearings, came back, but it happens. होता है. Tough reality India में अगर especially men if they don't make money, they're not valued. Okay. So what are the learnings? I made one big mistake. So I came back with about 30-40 lakhs money in my bank account, and also came with some baggage of loans. So I came back with one home loan and one car loan. So if somebody is planning to quit and come back and start their entrepreneurial journey, close your loans. Because when you're salaried and when you're paying from your salary, right, you don't feel the pinch at all. The EMIs don't pinch you. But when you're not making money, the EMI starts pinching hard. And because it's a fixed recurring subtraction from your bank account every day. So it wasn't longer than 9 months, I think I ran dry. So bit of advice, don't come back with the loan baggages as much as possible, or if possible, close them. And it's hard at home because you work hard, you come late, you don't take your family for dinners or for vacations or for anything, for both the reasons. You didn't have the time and you didn't have the money also. So if you have a little bit of money saved, come back with that money, but avoid loans. Apart from this money problem and time problem, the city, I had never lived in Belgaum, so I didn't know the infrastructural problems, what and all the infrastructure problem could be. Those are the few things you can probably do a little bit of homework if you're coming back as far as your specific business is concerned, whether that specific business demands some specific type of infrastructure. In my case, it was internet, which was a foolish from my side that, I never realized that the internet was not that great in Belgaum before I started an internet company. So yeah, those were the big hard ones. There are plenty of the ones which happens, but these were the difficult ones. Yeah. Any more questions, please? Sorry? Yes, sir.
So your Rivot startup,
Yes, sir.
why did you not bring in a mechanical engineer? It needed that.
Okay, I'll say the truth. गीता की कसम खा के बोलता हूँ ना वैसा वाला. It was very difficult for me to hire engineers from the local colleges. None would join. I said the same reason. None would join, no matter how much money I give. Because India में ना local है तो local है. Foreign का ही अच्छा रहता है. Local किसी को value नहीं पता है. अब वो local अगर foreign का बंदा India में आके बेलगम में ही factory खोल के बेलगम में ही बना के बेचेगा तो भी वो खरीदेंगे. लेकिन बेलगम का बनता है, बेलगम में बनाएगा ना तो बेचना थोड़ा मुश्किल होता है. So same goes with the employment also. When we interviewed so many people, in fact, when I was interviewing people to join me, it was more like they interviewing me. कितना दोगे? ऑफिस कहाँ पर है? कैफेटेरिया है कि नहीं? I was shocked. I spent about a decade and a half in the industry, and मैंने तो कभी ऐसा सोचा भी नहीं था, पूछा भी नहीं था कि कैफेटेरिया में कोका कोला है कि नहीं. So it was very difficult, and precisely was the reason why I said, चलो भाई, अगर रशिया ने इलॉन मस्क को ICBM नहीं दिया, तो इलॉन मस्क ने क्या किया? उसने सीखना शुरू कर दिया. मुझे भी वही करना पड़ा. I had to learn it myself, because to prove that I am making something tangible and worthwhile to mechanical engineers, I had to do something. So I started with a stick welding machine. From the mechanical guys, you'll know, and that was a poor choice, because for building a frame, a stick welding machine is not a good choice. So I had to, later on we upgraded to MIG welding. So just to prove to people to join me and in my vision, I had to have some tangible prototype type of thing. That's how. So I do have mechanical engineers now, by the way. So initial 2 years, it was quite tough for me to even, coming from an electronics and software background, how to hold the frame or bend the frame and make it was quite difficult. And a mechanical engineer would have been a God-sent gift for me. But it didn't happen. I couldn't convince, and I didn't have anybody in my family who comes from mechanical background. So I had to do it all by myself. I dropped a spanner on my toe many times. So that's how it's a hard learning. अब इतना सब कुछ होने के बाद फिर if you want to go back to people, convincing them to join you is very, very difficult. So I realized ये तो नहीं काम बनने वाला, सीख लेते हैं. So that's how it did. So it's a learning. If you come from mechanical background and you want the app development to be done, और कोई नहीं आ रहा है करने के लिए, तो कर लो भैया, सीख लो. Udemy है, YouTube है, दुनिया जहान का चीज़ें सीखने के लिए. आज इलेक्ट्रॉनिक, सॉफ्टवेयर, एम्बेडेड, एंड्रॉयड, मैकेनिकल सब करता हूँ मैं अकेला. कर रहा जब मैंने शुरू किया था. Then I have now slowly offloaded my weight off the shoulder and hired specific people. We're still not a very big company as such. I mean, we have 10 staff, and all of them know their industry very well, but I know all of the other ones. It helps me take a better decision. So the question was, why didn't you hire mechanical engineer? And that was the answer. Because I couldn't hire them. The demand was absolutely absurd. I mean, cafeteria hai ki nahi, ye bhi kaun puchta hai? So that's how, so currently the valuation, the startup has given a very glamorous view of the startup world. Whereas the true startup guys do not bother who is asking you for what. Unko to ground level pe kaam karna hai. And that's what happened with us, with so much of glamour thing being said. And now you'll be surprised to know that I get application from Ola Electrics and Ather and Simple Energy, and you name all the EV startups in the country, I get application from them for job venture, for job. And I shortlist them and then I hire them. So like I said, on the LinkedIn, I have got all of these people who have hired, and everything happened organically. We never ventured into Google ads or Insta ads. Everything happened automatically, organically. Good. Nice. So it's very interesting that questions are coming up, and please don't shy away. Like I said, there's no dumb question. Yes. Go. Thank you. So the question is, many EV startups are coming. How have you prepared yourself for the competition? I didn't tell you how and why I started Rivot Motors. So I bought an electric scooter way back in 2009. That is 13 years back, when EV or Ather or none of them even existed. There were only 3 companies selling electric scooters around those days. One was Hero Electric. The second was Yo Bike, and you can Google them, they don't exist anymore. And the third new entrant was BSA Motors. And the reason I bought BSA motor out of the 3, because he had a telescopic suspension. That's it. Everything else was the same. And I bought that in 2009 against the will of all of my family members, because that was the first scooter we were buying. I mean, we had the 4-wheelers. I bought that because I was excited about the way, you can go for such a cheap cost. And that vehicle had so many issues. It didn't even have an odometer. You know what is odometer? It tells you how many kilometers you have driven or ridden. Imagine an EV not telling you how many kilometers you have gone. How will you even know how many kilometers you can go now, even if you do a manual So the first retrofitting I did for that scooter was, I put an odometer. And that odometer was electronically built by me. So I used a small infrared sensor which detects the interruption every RPM and sends a signal to a small device which counts the RPM, and then you do the math to get the kilometer. And after that, my dad used to use that scooter. I was very happy that now he doesn't need to push the scooter because he never knew it didn't even have the charge level indicator, by the way. So we did a lot of retrofitting, and that's how my interest in the electric vehicle came from. And then it became my pet project for weekends. So while I'm working on fast and out-of-box cloud, it was my weekend project to work on and do some retrofitting. And fast forward 5 years, that scooter gave up. The battery was lead acid battery, and it was nothing less than just a frame. 2016, I saw Tarun Mehta launching his product called Ather 340 and Ather 450. And I was actually shocked. Yaar, kal ke londe log milke scooter company bana diya. I mean, I was thinking that this vehicle industry is only for the Tatas and the big shot Mahindras and all. Making a vehicle company is something a startup cannot even think of. I was greatly inspired by how these boys were able to build an entire automobile company, because until then, I think until Ather, it was only about Mahindra, Tatas. So I drew an inspiration from Tarun talking about how they built it when they wanted to build a battery pack, and they ended up making an automobile company. And I said, why not? And the same history repeated. Like initially when I was building the ISP, I was thinking it was only for Mittals and the Tatas. And then we were able to build an ISP and solve it. I said, kyun nahi, isko bhi karte hain. And that is when from 2016 onwards, which is when they launched, 2000 till 2018, I did a lot of research. I flew to China twice, saw the entire ecosystem of how the entire thing was built and done. And I came back and we registered our company, and that's how it started. So coming back to your question about competition, the idea of making the company was not to beat the competition, to be a party in the crime. I mean, what the team was trying to solve at Ather was green renewable energy. And we thought I wanted to be part of it. I don't want to compete with Tarun. I don't want to compete with Bhavesh Agarwal. I don't want to compete with these startups. We are all collectively trying to solve a bigger problem. So I don't consider all of these as competition. I would be happy to share a dinner table or a beer with all of these guys if I ever meet them. So they are not my competition. They are my friends in the same crime. So not worried about the competition. Even if I'm able to sell few and take care of my boys, my employees, I'm happy with that. I just got a pager message that the lunch is not ready yet, so you have some more time. Some more time for questions, and I want to bore you with some more times. I mean, these are the very real experience. I am not making anything up. Everything is ground reality, because मुझे नहीं आता वैसे बात करना. I don't know how those things work. Even if you ask me for my financials, I will tell you right away. No hidden secret. मेरा महीने का कितना खर्चा होता है स्टार्टअप चलाने में, कुछ भी पूछो, बेहिचक बता दूंगा मैं. It was very difficult initially. Kids are kids. बच्चों को तो घूमना पसंद है. पापा नौकरी कर रहा है या स्टार्टअप चला रहा है, फ़र्क नहीं पड़ता. एंड जब आप सक्सेसफुल हो जाते हो ना, तो आप जो भी बोलते हो, कोई भी कितना भी गंदा जोक मारो, लोग हंसेंगे. तो आप जब सक्सेसफुल होते हो ना, तो आप कुछ भी बोलो, तालियां मिलती है आपको. लेकिन जब आप सक्सेसफुल नहीं हो अभी तक, तो कितना भी अच्छा बोलो, गालियां मिलती है. ठीक है, that's how it is. So it was difficult initially. So now I have learned a formula of balancing. When people say work life and personal life balancing, I don't say 50-50%. ऐसे संडे को मेरा 90% पर्सनल रहेगा, 10% वर्क रहेगा. मंडे को मेरा ना 20% फैमिली रहेगा. सो माई बैलेंस keeps changing throughout the week. Based on the week, based on the day of the week, I balance. So हर सुबह मुझे फॉर्मूला तय करना है आज सुबह कि आज मैं इतना समय बिताऊंगा. If you say 50-50, it will not work. मैं इतना 6 बजे मैं ऑफिस छोड़ूंगा, 6 बजे मैं घर पहुंचूंगा, चाय शाम का चाय घर में पीऊंगा, नहीं होने वाला ये. And it's almost, your startup is like raising your baby, you know, for the first 6 months or 9 months after you deliver a baby, right? The mom will not even have time to go to loo. That's how bad it is, okay? And that's exactly the situation with startups. So if you ask a new mother, कि यार तू ऑफिस क्यों नहीं जा रही है? It is very difficult, right? So for her at that moment, the total priority is the baby. And it's exactly synonym to a founder and his startup. It's his baby. Even if the spouse will ask you, for the spouse, it's Annotsav. I couldn't go to Annotsav this time. For the spouse, it is not a baby. But for the founder, it's a baby. Unfortunately, when a baby is born, father and mother both are required. But with startup, it is not necessary. It may or may not, right? So the value of that baby, only that one founder understands, whether it's a wife or a husband, only that. The other person को तो फर्क ही नहीं पड़ता ना, उसको तो अनोत्सव जाना है. So it's very difficult. But like I said, my formula has remained the same now. You shift your center needle this side or that side based on the demand for that day of the week. And that's how I've done it. So far it's been working. So I was listening to Clavia's founder. She's a co-founder and her husband is a co-founder. They both are the founder. So people say that, you know, when you start a startup, you almost marry to your co-founder. She literally married the co-founder. For them, it is quite easy. For them, the real baby is also baby and the startup is also baby. That doesn't happen naturally that way. Any more questions, please? I have two. Yes.
What are the unique advantages of your company?
My latest company, Rivot Motors. So that's the USP he's asking for, and I won't shy away from revealing it. So for 1 kilowatt hour of energy, people who understand energy, Ether goes 30 kilometers. Based on what they say on their website, Ola goes about 40-45 kilometers, and we go 60 kilometers. Okay, so that's not a small deal, it's a big deal. How does it happen? So all my 13 years of experience working on EV helped me a lot. So this is one big example, which means if I have to tell you in the layman's language, 1 लीटर पेट्रोल में अगर आपका एक्टिवा 100 किलोमीटर 100 तो नहीं जाएगा 50 किलोमीटर जाता है तो मेरा 100 जाता है. That's the analogy for our product. So if you spend 7 rupees to charge 1 kilowatt hour battery, it's not about the money, by the way, money तो ऐसे भी बच ही रहा है, but the range. So ultimately, because of this unique technology, we are able to reach 300 kilometers range, and that we have tested. So this is going to be a USP for us, and we're going to be beating hands down everybody in the market right now. You take Ola or take Ather or the upcoming ones, and we're not just making it up. And इसीलिए मैं बोलना भी नहीं चाहता था इसको, but because you asked, I'm saying that. Yes, sir. Okay. It is the combination of both. We have worked a lot on the regenerative braking system, so much that we are getting back 35% compared to 10% of the others. So much that in our case, you don't even have to engage the disc brakes at all. You stop completely like your metro train, That's how it picks up and stops with no friction brakes used. And on the drivetrain part, so I had built my toy electric vehicle when I was in 7th standard using radio tape recorders motor, the DC motors. It's a brushed DC motor actually, not the BLDC. So if I have to go back to school days, from that days, the coil kya hota hai, magnets kya hota hai, kaise ghumta hai, this is something which was always excited about, and we have built a lot of motor at home, right from that, the cell and the coil thing, right? So we have improvised both on the regenerative part and the coil part to get these kind of efficiency. Obviously, when we launch it, we will give in detailed presentation on how we are actually achieving these things, not just saying some numbers randomly, but kaise wo hata hai. So yes, to answer your question, it is both the motor and the regenerative braking what we have worked on. Not on the magnet. Not on the magnet. Okay. Didn't want to release the price, but ठीक है. कोई बात नहीं, सब अपने ही लोग हैं. Post मत कर देना कहीं पर. So I'm planning to. So this is one more good plan, because investors are not involved. मुझे किसी से पूछना नहीं है. बोल दो जो बोलना है. I'm planning to price my scooter starting at 80,000 rupees all the way to 160. So 80, 120 and 60, 160 is the pricing. So the 80,000 rupees model will give you 100 kilometers, and the next one will give you 200 kilometers, and the last one will give you 300 kilometers. That's how it's going to be priced. So with this pricing, I have considered Ola Air model to Ather topmost model. So सारे लोग आ गए इसमें. So this is how I've done the pricing. Almost become a veteran in pricing the product these days, because when I started fast, right, for almost 3-4 years we were overbooked, because I realized the India is kind of a geo market. अगर आपको ज़्यादा शेयर चाहिए ना, तो अपना margin zero रखो या कम रखो starting में. And it's almost like, अगर आपका product कोई खरीदेगा ही नहीं, तो उसकी खूबियाँ कैसे पहचानेगा? So the best thing is almost like giving juice on trial. When you go to malls, right, they'll give you small cups of juice on trial. You can't give a small piece of your scooter for trial, right? Not possible. So first, don't think of making money for the next 5 years at least. Let the user use your product, and they are the brand ambassador for your product. So with this pricing, what we have done is, we are not making any money, but we are almost exactly at our cost price. And this is excluding my marketing expense and all, which we are not planning to spend a lot of money on anyways. So 80,000, 120 and 160 is the pricing. And with this pricing, we'll be at par or probably better with what is available in the market. Like again, I said, I don't want to compete, but I also want to survive in the industry. So if I don't have the numbers, तो शायद भावेश अग्रवाल seriously नहीं लेगा हमें. तो थोड़े से तो numbers लेने पड़ेंगे. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Like if you go back to how I started this company, the answer will be no, because I don't think I'm planning for anything. There is no plan as such. I get saturated very fast, so I've almost done with knowing everything around electric vehicle. So I don't have any plan as such, but I like flying. I fly microlight, I have a paramotor. तो थोड़ा सा इंटरेस्ट है फ्लाइंग पॉड्स बनाने का. अगर वो होता है तो करेंगे. आई थिंक आई हैव अ वेरी शॉर्ट लाइफ लेफ्ट नाउ, 30-40 ईयर्स. तो थोड़ा टाइम रखता हूँ अपने लिए भी, एक 5-10. सॉरी, दिस शुड बी लॉन्च्ड इन अनदर 2 months. So we're almost done. I have one question. Now I'll take a small feedback from you guys, and I'm very confused because I need some help in taking decision. I'm very confused. Where should I launch this vehicle? Okay, I knew you'll say that, but think about survivability also. It's like where would you like the mother to give birth? Where it is, where you are sure that the baby will survive, make it, right? So that's also one of the reason why I asked this question. हम यहाँ तो launch कर लेंगे, बहुत प्यार है बेलगम से, emotionally all that is fine, but will it get the kind of exposure or the kind of people who wants, if we launch it here? इसीलिए मैं, that's what I'm asking. Emotion is one side, but what if the baby doesn't survive because of my emotional decision, right? How about launching it in the Silicon Valley and ensuring that the staffing, the factory and everything is built in Belgium? What is more better? Sorry? Yes. Thank you. Why I ask this is because I'm still very confused, and all of you gave me some. Exactly. It's a yes, sir. Please. Yes, sir. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, was that a question? Okay, sorry. Yeah, so you're for in launching in Belgium, so tier 2 city. I'll just come back to you. The view is, we don't want to, I'm not saying that I don't want to cater to Belgium. Okay, we'll definitely, I mean, it's a global product. It'll go to every nook and corner of the country. But the launch requires some amount of exposure. I mean, I'll give an example. When I asked one of the national print media guy, when he had pinged me, we want to cover you. And by then he didn't know that we are from Belgium. When I say we have Belgium, Belgium, let me get back to you. So I lost a coverage just because I was in Belgium. And it was not very far to come down from Bangalore. But now he needs to plan for it. But if I'm launching in Bangalore, right, and so I'm not in favor of either of the two, I'm just trying to understand the views. But if I launch in Bangalore, what will happen is, somebody who's just gone out for lunch, he'll say, yaar, uska launch ho raha, chal jaake aate hain. The media folks will just drop in to come. No, I mean, apna local wala. Okay.
Right. So that way, yes, you are launching where the market is the highest.
Correct. So we'll still brainstorm on that and figure out where should we go from there. But it's not finalized yet. I don't want to make my Belgiumites feel bad that, यहाँ का company होके वहाँ launch किया. But it's ultimately, I'm thinking of the survival of the baby and getting the right exposure. If the baby needs incubator, wherever you have it, you'll have to go it. We have to go there. So it's something like that sort. I'm sorry. Yes. Yes. True. So the advice is, wherever the maximum traction is happening and wherever you have the customer base would be the best place to go. Yes, we'll brainstorm on that and figure out. There is one question there. Yes, sir. Okay, so that's a very technical question, but I'll tell you what he was asked. He's asking if the ARAI certification is done for the product or not. The answer is no, because before you do ARAI certification, which is also called homologation, you need to do something called component level testing. And only after you're done with the component level testing of your vehicle, you can actually go for homologation. So currently we are doing component level testing, which means you send your alloy wheel to ARI, they'll do the certification, then you send your headlight to ARI. Likewise, you have to go through the entire component list and then finally go for homologation. For the component level testing, it's about 13 checkpoints. For the vehicle level testing, it's about 32. Everything put together. The brake disc and everything. Yes, sir.
I had a comment on the location.
Yes.
So this for you to think through, and I'm going to use this as a way to talk about positioning, right? Yes. So I'm throwing this back just to use this as a way for all of us to think through, because what you're talking about is a market positioning and how you want to get to the sector. So how many of you know that just like in India before the two-wheeler launch two-wheeler of Ather, we have had a lot of electric two-wheelers. We have had the Mini, which was there. Even before that, we had, if you go back historically, you had cars like Dolphin, right? We have lived through those kind of sessions. But how many of you know that before Elon Musk launched Tesla, there was a company, Nissan had a model called Nissan Leaf. I don't know if, yeah. So how many of you know that Nissan Leaf actually had higher market share than anybody else in the world? But there was a fundamental difference in the way he launched that I want you to think through. Until that point in time, the electric car was seen as a low-cost mechanism for you to go back and talk about price saving, right? How many of you know what he did to take that away and actually make it a desirable piece? Anybody? Yeah. So what did he make it desirable? Design and speed is an outcome. He made. Yeah. So the first thing that he did, and for you to go back and check this, is they ran a whole series of races against BMW Z, a Lamborghini that you would go back. So the idea was, I'm not counting against the Hondas and the Acuras and the Toyotas, right? The positioning was that I'm going to give you better traction and better structure and a soft car. In that sense, the same luxury feel and structure. So the design was aspirational to hit. In fact, he borrowed Z series, Beamer Z as a design thesis, and then launched that through. So the point I think that you need to think through is it a positioning that you want on the user side, or is it a positioning that you want on the market side, right? Fundamentally different way of approaching, right? And to take his point, when you first said Silicon Valley, I thought the Silicon Valley, right? I actually, the reason I put up a hand and I put it down was that there is an opportunity for you to take this into Italy and launch it against the Vespa scooter market in Italy. Now just think for a minute, right? In the world, there were two fundamental two-wheeler markets that have captured our imagination, both Italian, Lambretta and Vespa, right? That's the opportunity that you have.
Wonderful. Thank you, sir. Yeah. So.
Yes, sir. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, I know. I ran out of time.
No, I just wanted to inform, like, as you are there till the end, so you can take the question off stage.
Exactly.
That will be better, as we have a lot of things to conduct now.
So thanks, everyone. Thanks for the questions, and thanks for having me here. Thank you, Prakash, sir, for inviting me. I've been wanting to do something like this to promote entrepreneurship in the city, and it was a kind of a catalyst for me. Thanks a lot, and thank you everybody for listening to me patiently along with the slides. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.